The courtroom was filled with a heavy silence as Alexis Davis rose from her seat. Every eye turned toward her. Even after years of legal battles and shocking revelations, no one was prepared for what was about to happen next. The tension was so thick it felt as if one wrong breath could shatter the room. Alexis adjusted the files in front of her, her expression calm but determined. She had waited for this moment. For days, whispers had spread through Port Charles that Alexis was hiding something big. No one expected her next move to change everything. The judge looked at her over his glasses. "Miss Davis, do you have another witness to call?" Alexis paused, letting the silence stretch just long enough to make everyone uncomfortable. Then she spoke clearly and confidently. "Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls a witness who has not yet been heard, but whose testimony will finally bring clarity to this case." Murmurs rippled through the courtroom. Diane Miller narrowed her eyes. Carly leaned forward in her seat. Sonny's jaw tightened. Even those who thought they knew every secret in Port Charles suddenly felt unsure. The bailiff moved toward the door, and then the door opened. Gasps echoed across the room. A figure stepped inside, someone no one expected to see standing there. The reaction was instant and undeniable. Shocked whispers filled the air. Some faces turned pale, others froze in disbelief. "This can't be happening," someone whispered. Alexis remained standing, her eyes locked on the witness. This was the moment she had been working toward all along. The witness walked slowly to the stand, each step echoing like a drumbeat. For months, this person had been missing from the narrative, erased from conversations, assumed irrelevant. Yet now they were here, alive, steady, and ready to speak. The judge banged the gavel. "Order! Order in the court!" The room fell silent again, but the tension only grew stronger. "Please state your name for the record," the judge said. The witness spoke clearly, their voice calm but firm. The name alone sent another wave of shock through the courtroom. Some people stared in disbelief, others exchanged worried glances. Alexis finally allowed herself a small breath. This witness wasn't just unexpected, they were dangerous to the lies that had been carefully built over time. Diane stood quickly. "Your Honor, the defense was not notified of this witness." Alexis turned toward her. "This witness came forward voluntarily after realizing the truth could no longer stay buried. The law allows it." The judge considered this, then nodded. "I'll allow it. Proceed." Alexis approached the stand slowly. "You've been watching this trial closely, haven't you?" "Yes," the witness replied, "because I knew what was being said wasn't the full truth." A hush fell over the courtroom. Alexis continued, "You were present during the events everyone has been arguing about here today, is that correct?" "Yes, I was there. I saw what actually happened." That sentence alone felt like an earthquake. Carly's eyes widened. Sonny leaned back, suddenly tense. Even the judge seemed more alert. Alexis nodded. "Then please tell the court, did the story we've heard so far match what you witnessed?" The witness hesitated for a moment, then shook their head. "No, not at all." Gasps erupted again. Alexis pressed on. "So important details were left out?" "Yes, and some things were completely twisted." The courtroom buzzed with disbelief. This was the first real crack in a case many believed was already decided. As the witness spoke, piece by piece, a new version of events began to form. It wasn't rushed or emotional. It was clear, methodical, and devastating to the false narrative that had dominated the trial. The witness explained where they were standing, what they saw, what they heard. Their testimony didn't accuse, it clarified, and somehow that made it even more powerful. Diane attempted to object, but the judge overruled her repeatedly. "Let the witness finish," the judge said firmly. Alexis listened closely, occasionally nodding, guiding the testimony just enough to keep it focused. Every answer dismantled assumptions the courtroom had accepted as fact.
By the time the witness finished, the room felt completely different. This was no longer a simple case. The judge called for a brief recess, but no one moved right away. People stared at one another, trying to process what they had just heard. Outside the courtroom, whispers exploded. "This changes everything. How did Alexis pull this off? Who else knew?" Inside, Alexis finally allowed herself to sit. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the release of pressure she had been carrying alone. She had taken a risk, a massive one, and it had paid off. When the court reconvened, the atmosphere was electric. The judge made it clear that the testimony would force a re-evaluation of key evidence. The prosecution suddenly looked less confident. The defense realized they were no longer in control. Alexis stood once more. "Your Honor, the truth has a way of surfacing no matter how deeply it's buried. Today, we finally heard a voice that was ignored for far too long." The judge nodded slowly. "This court will take that into serious consideration." As the session ended, people filed out in stunned silence. Outside the courtroom, Alexis was approached by more than a few familiar faces. Some offered quiet gratitude, others simply stared, unsure what to say. One thing was certain: Port Charles would never see this case the same way again, because Alexis didn't just call a witness, she called the truth. And the fallout from that moment was only just beginning.